Hello everybody, my name is John Rattigan and I'm the Curator of Clare Museum, and today I wanted to share with you a new collection that we've just acquired in the last couple of weeks. We're still coming to terms with it and what's in it, but we thought we'd share a little bit of it with you, make you aware of its existence. This collection still has to be catalogued and fully researched, but we'll take maybe a preliminary look at it and see why it's important and what its connection to Clare is. So most of you may have heard of Georgina Frost, who was the first woman to become a petty sessions clerk in a court in Britain or Ireland. And she was born in 6 Mile Bridge, I think in 1879, and lived at Garna House, which is near the bridge in 6 Mile Bridge. The house is still there today. In about 1910, her father, who was the petty sessions clerk for 6 Mile Bridge in Newmarket and Fergus, his health started to fail, so she started to assist him in his work. And by 1915, he was too ill to continue doing that work, so she took it over and was actually appointed by Lucius O'Brien, who was a local magistrate. This appointment did not receive the approval of the Lord Lieutenant in Dublin, and a dispute broke out which ended up in the Chancery Court in England. And to make a long story short, and it was a long court case, and unfortunately her case was dismissed. It was appealed and that was dismissed, but eventually it went to the House of Lords. That was their last shot, and in December of 1919 an act had come in called the Sex Disqualification Removal Act of 1919, and that was brought in, and with the arrival of that act in April of 1920, when the House of Lords judged on whether she should become a chief petty clerk, sessions clerk, the impediment had been removed, so she won her case. So that was very significant. It set a precedent, and it was quite big news at that particular time. In 1920, in fact, Georgina was very well known in Clare. I have found her name in an obituary for a member of Cumann who died and was buried in Quinn, and the fact that she was in attendance at the funeral was actually noted. So she was quite well known at that time, but her achievement was soon forgotten. She held the job for 3 years until the position of Clerk of the Petty Sessions was abolished in April 1923. She lived until her father lived until 1938. He had retired in ill health in 1915, but had lived on to be 96, and Georgina never married, and 2 of her sisters never married, so they all lived together in Garna House. Her father died in 1938, and sadly Georgina died in December of 1939. In the mid 1990s, 1995, a 6 Mile Bridge man called Michael McNamara purchased a small collection of items connected with Garna House, and it turned out to be a real treasure trove of information, and that collection has now been acquired by Clare Museum. Like I said, we're still researching it, and the collection still has to be catalogued. But immediately there's 2 elements to this collection that make it locally important, I think. First of all, we have a postcard album, and it appears that Georgina collected postcards, and these were postcards that give us an insight into County Clare, or the life of County Clare, middle class County Clare woman in the late Victorian and Edwardian period. nearly all of these postcards feature actresses. They were very famous in their day on the stage in London, and some of them went on to make silent movies as well. So these actresses would have been household names. And these postcards came from all over Ireland and Britain. And again, with research, we hope to be able to identify who these people are that were sending these postcards to her. The second album that we have also carries postcards, but these are mainly photographs. They're photographs taken in studios, such as this one. They were taken in local studios in Limerick or in Dublin or in various parts of Britain. It's a tantalising collection because there's a lot of black and white photographs in here with no information on the backs of them, so we don't know who's in the photographs or when they were actually taken. But there's one or two that have some information on the back that we'll be able to research. And again, further research into the family might shed some light on who these people are. Most of these photographs, it's they're studio shots, so we can only guess in some cases where they were actually taken. But I suppose the real creme de la creme comes with a second group of photographs that are loose, and these include photographs taken in 6 Mile Bridge at that time in the late Victorian and early Edwardian period. In a lot of cases we don't know who for sure is in the photographs yet, but we can be fairly sure that some of these people are members of the Frost family and the extended family. And we have one shot here, for example, of what looks like a day out at Quin, and you can see Quin Abbey in the background, very black and white, women dressed in clothes of the 1920s, and earlier periods then as well. So these are new photographs that I don't think anyone is aware of before. And we also have other photographs and postcards that, again, with further research will actually probably shed more light on the family and the family history. We will spend the winter cataloguing and cleaning this collection, and we'll get it up. Hopefully we'll be able to photograph it next year and scan it and put it up online. But at least now with the Truth video we can make you aware that we actually have it, and it is a treasure trove. We're only seeing about half of the collection here. There are other items as well dating to the late Victorian and early Edwardian period, and they'll be available for researchers in the future. Thank you very much.